One moment you feel fine, and the next you feel tearful, irritated, or emotionally overwhelmed without a clear reason. Many women between 30 and 45 start questioning their emotions, wondering if they're becoming moody or overly sensitive. In reality, these shifts are often hormonal, not a reflection of your personality or emotional strength. Hormones play a major role in how your brain regulates mood. Estrogen, progesterone, cortisol, insulin, and thyroid hormones all influence neurotransmitters that control calm, motivation, and emotional balance. After 30, natural hormone fluctuations combined with stress, poor sleep, and blood sugar changes can make moods feel unpredictable even when life circumstances haven't changed. In this video, you'll learn how to tell the difference between emotional mood swings and hormone-driven shifts, what signs to look for, and how to support your mood naturally by understanding your body better. Estrogen and emotional sensitivity. When feelings shift suddenly. When emotions change faster than situations. You may feel emotionally steady one moment, then suddenly tearful, irritated, or unusually sensitive the next, without anything specific happening. These quick emotional shifts can feel confusing and make you question yourself. For many women after 30, this pattern is not a mood problem. It's often estrogen-driven emotional sensitivity. How estrogen regulates mood in the brain. Estrogen plays a powerful role in emotional regulation. It supports neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine, which help stabilize mood, motivation, and emotional resilience. Estrogen also influences how the brain processes stress and emotional input, helping feelings feel proportionate and manageable. When estrogen signaling is steady, emotions tend to feel smoother. You can experience feelings without being overwhelmed by them. Emotional reactions rise and fall gently. What changes after 30? After 30, estrogen doesn't simply decline, it begins to fluctuate more unpredictably across the menstrual cycle and from month to month. These fluctuations affect how consistently estrogen can support mood-regulating pathways in the brain. On days when estrogen dips or shifts quickly, emotional sensitivity increases. Small stressors feel bigger. Feelings rise faster and feel harder to control. This doesn't mean emotions are irrational. It means the brain's emotional filter is less supported hormonally. Why emotions can feel amplified. Estrogen helps the brain filter emotional input. When estrogen support drops, that filter weakens. The brain becomes more reactive to internal and external cues. This can make the sadness feel deeper. Irritation feel sharper. Joy feel brief. Stress feel overwhelming. Importantly, the emotions themselves are real. They're just being experienced more intensely. Why these shifts can feel sudden. Estrogen levels can change quickly, especially around ovulation, before periods, or during times of stress. Because the brain responds rapidly to estrogen changes, emotional shifts can feel sudden and unexplained. This is why many women say, "I was fine earlier today. What happened?" Often, nothing external changed. The hormonal environment did. Common signs estrogen is affecting mood. When estrogen-related emotional sensitivity is present, women often notice tearfulness without clear cause, feeling emotionally fragile or easily hurt, heightened reactions to comments or situations, mood changes that come and go, feeling unlike your usual self. These patterns are especially noticeable when paired with physical symptoms like headaches, fatigue, or breast tenderness. Why this is often misinterpreted as a mood problem. Because emotions are involved, these shifts are often labeled as moodiness, stress, or personality changes. Women may be told to relax or not take things personally. What's missed is that estrogen directly affects emotional processing. The emotional response isn't wrong, the hormonal support behind it has changed. How stress interacts with estrogen. Stress raises cortisol, which interferes with estrogen signaling in the brain. Even when estrogen is present, cortisol can blunt its calming effects. This is why emotional sensitivity often worsens during busy or stressful periods. Stress doesn't create the mood shift, it amplifies an existing hormonal vulnerability. Doctor-approved ways to support estrogen-related emotional balance. Supporting estrogen's mood role is about reducing interference. Helpful support includes consistent sleep and wake times, managing stress to lower cortisol, eating regularly to stabilize blood sugar, gentle, regular movement, allowing emotional rest, not constant stimulation. These habits help estrogen communicate more clearly with the brain. Sudden emotional shifts don't automatically mean mood swings. After 30, fluctuating estrogen can increase emotional sensitivity, making feelings feel stronger and faster. This isn't a personality change or emotional weakness, it's a hormonal signal. When estrogen support improves and stress is reduced, emotional balance often returns naturally. Progesterone, the missing calm. Behind irritability. When everything feels annoying for no clear reason, you may notice that small things suddenly irritate you. Noise feels louder, patience feels thinner, and you feel on edge even when life hasn't changed. This can be uncomfortable and confusing, especially if you're normally calm. For many women after 30, this isn't an attitude problem. It's often low or blocked progesterone, the hormone that helps keep the nervous system calm. What progesterone does for emotional calm. Progesterone is one of the body's most important calming hormones. It supports GABA, a neurotransmitter that quiets brain activity, reduces anxiety, and promotes emotional steadiness. Progesterone helps slow racing thoughts, soften emotional reactions, and create a sense of inner calm. When progesterone is present in healthy balance, it acts like a buffer between you and stress. Emotions still happen, but they feel easier to manage. Why progesterone declines after 30. Progesterone production depends on regular ovulation. After 30, ovulation can become less consistent even when cycles still appear normal. This quietly reduces progesterone levels. Stress makes this worse. When your body is under pressure, it prioritizes producing cortisol to manage stress. Progesterone and cortisol share the same building blocks. When cortisol demand is high, progesterone production is reduced. This leaves the nervous system without its natural calming support. How low progesterone shows up emotionally. When progesterone is low or blocked by stress, women often experience irritability without a clear trigger, feeling tense or easily overwhelmed, anxiety or inner restlessness, difficulty calming down once upset, emotional reactions that feel out of proportion. These feelings are often mislabeled as moodiness, but they're actually signs of reduced nervous system calming. The PMS and cycle connection. Many women notice irritability and emotional tension worsen in the days before their period. This is when progesterone naturally drops. If baseline progesterone is already low, this drop feels much more intense. This pattern feeling calmer earlier in the cycle and more irritable later is a strong hormonal clue, not a personality change. Why this feels different from regular stress. Emotional changes linked to progesterone often feel physical as well as emotional. You may feel tight in your chest, restless in your body, or unable to relax mentally. This happens because progesterone directly affects the nervous system, not just mood. When it's low, the body stays in alert mode. Why progesterone-related irritability is often missed. Progesterone is rarely discussed unless fertility is the focus. Emotional symptoms are often attributed to stress, relationships, or coping skills. What's missed is that calm is hormonally supported. Without progesterone's influence, emotional regulation becomes much harder, no matter how self-aware you are. Doctor-approved ways to support progesterone's calming role. Supporting progesterone is about supporting recovery and safety signals. Helpful support includes prioritizing consistent restorative sleep, avoiding overtraining or chronic exhaustion, eating regularly to prevent stress-driven hormone shifts, creating calming evening routines, reducing chronic stress where possible. These habits tell the body it's safe to produce and use progesterone effectively. Irritability doesn't always mean a mood swing. After 30, declining or stress-blocked progesterone removes one of the body's key calming supports, making emotions feel sharper and harder to manage. This isn't emotional weakness, it's hormonal. When progesterone is supported, calm often returns naturally, and emotional reactions soften without forcing control. Cortisol and stress reactivity. When everything feels overwhelming. When small things trigger big emotional reactions. You may notice that things that never bothered you before suddenly feel overwhelming. A minor inconvenience sparks irritation, a small comment feels upsetting, or your patience disappears faster than you expect. This doesn't mean you're becoming emotionally unstable. For many women after 30, this heightened reactivity is driven by cortisol, the body's main stress hormone. What cortisol does to emotional regulation. Cortisol is designed to help you respond to short-term stress. In healthy amounts, it sharpens focus and helps you cope, but when cortisol stays elevated for long periods, it changes how the brain processes emotions. High cortisol reduces activity in the prefrontal cortex, the part that helps regulate emotions, increases sensitivity in the amygdala, the brain's emotional alarm system, makes reactions faster and harder to control. The result is feeling emotionally on edge, even when nothing serious is happening. Why stress feels different after 30. Earlier in life, hormones like estrogen and progesterone help buffer the effects of cortisol. After 30, these buffering systems weaken. Estrogen fluctuates, progesterone declines, and cortisol's influence becomes stronger. This means the same stress load you handled easily in your 20s may now feel emotionally exhausting. Your tolerance hasn't disappeared, your hormonal protection has changed. Chronic stress versus acute stress. Acute stress is short-lived and resolves once the situation ends. Chronic stress, which is far more common now, keeps cortisol elevated all day. Mental stress, constant thinking, planning, worrying, multitasking doesn't give the nervous system a clear off signal. Cortisol stays active and the brain remains in a reactive state. Over time, this makes emotional responses quicker and more intense. How cortisol creates emotional overload. When cortisol remains high, emotional filters weaken. Minor frustrations feel magnified. Emotional recovery takes longer. Calm feels harder to access. You may feel overwhelmed by decisions, noise, or social interaction, not because you're sensitive, but because your nervous system is overstimulated. Common signs: cortisol is driving mood shifts. When stress hormones are the main trigger, women often notice feeling overwhelmed by small tasks, irritability during busy or rushed days, emotional shutdown after stress, difficulty calming down once upset, feeling better emotionally on quieter days. These patterns strongly suggest stress reactivity rather than emotional instability. Why this is often misread as a mood issue. Because emotions are involved, cortisol-driven reactivity is often labeled as moodiness or anxiety. Women may be told to relax, manage emotions better, or toughen up. What's missed is that cortisol changes how the brain processes emotions. Emotional responses are not exaggerated by choice, they're intensified by biology. Doctor-approved ways to reduce cortisol's emotional impact. Calming cortisol isn't about eliminating stress, it's about reducing constant activation. Helpful support includes protecting consistent sleep and wake times, taking brief mental breaks during the day, eating regularly to stabilize blood sugar, reducing multitasking when possible, using gentle calming practices to reset the nervous system. These habits lower baseline cortisol and improve emotional regulation. When emotions feel overwhelming and reactions feel bigger than the situation, cortisol is often involved. After 30, reduced hormonal buffering allows stress hormones to shape emotional responses more strongly. This isn't a flaw in your mood or character, it's a hormonal stress signal. When cortisol is supported and recovery is prioritized, emotional balance becomes easier and more stable again. Blood sugar and mood crashes, the emotional roller coaster. When your mood drops for no emotional reason, you may feel calm one moment, then suddenly irritable, sad, or anxious, especially if it's been a while since you last ate or you're running on low energy. These emotional dips can feel confusing because nothing emotionally happened. For many women after 30, these shifts are driven by blood sugar and insulin changes, not mood instability. Why the brain is highly sensitive to blood sugar. Your brain relies on a steady supply of glucose to regulate mood. Unlike muscles, it can't store fuel. When blood sugar is stable, emotional regulation works smoothly. When blood sugar drops or spikes, the brain shifts into survival mode, and emotions are one of the first systems affected. This is why mood changes tied to blood sugar feel sudden and intense rather than gradual. How insulin influences mood. Insulin helps move glucose into cells, including brain cells. When insulin sensitivity is stable, the brain receives consistent fuel, supporting calm and emotional balance. After 30, insulin regulation often becomes more fragile due to chronic stress and elevated cortisol, poor or inconsistent sleep, estrogen and progesterone fluctuations, skipped meals or restrictive eating. When insulin signaling is disrupted, blood sugar rises and falls more sharply, and the brain reacts emotionally to those swings. Why blood sugar drops feel like mood swings. When blood sugar dips, the brain senses threat. Stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline rise. Emotional centers become more reactive. This can show up as irritability, anxiety, sudden sadness, feeling emotionally overwhelmed. These emotions aren't psychological overreactions. They're biological responses to low fuel. When blood sugar rises again, mood often improves quickly, which is a key clue that hormones are involved. Why this becomes more noticeable after 30. Earlier in life, the body compensates for blood sugar fluctuations more easily. After 30, hormonal buffering decreases. Estrogen fluctuations affect insulin sensitivity. Progesterone decline reduces nervous system calm. Cortisol interferes more strongly with glucose control. This combination makes emotional regulation more dependent on steady nutrition and timing. Common signs blood sugar is driving mood changes. When mood swings are blood sugar related, women often notice mood worsening when meals are delayed, irritability or anxiety late morning or afternoon, feeling emotionally off when tired or hungry, mood improving after eating, cravings paired with emotional dips. These patterns are predictable and they're hormonal clues, not character flaws. Why blood sugar mood swings are often missed. Blood sugar is usually discussed in the context of weight or diabetes, not emotions. Many women don't realize that emotional stability is one of the brain's first priorities and first casualties when fuel is low. As a result, women may blame stress, relationships, or mental health when the root cause is physiological. Doctor-approved ways to support blood sugar for emotional stability. Supporting mood through blood sugar doesn't require extremes. Helpful habits include eating regular meals without long gaps, including protein, fiber, and healthy fats at meals, avoiding sugar-only snacks, managing stress to reduce cortisol interference, protecting sleep, which improves insulin sensitivity. These habits help keep emotional responses steady and predictable. Mood crashes that come out of nowhere are often blood sugar crashes in disguise. After 30, insulin and glucose fluctuations affect emotions more strongly, creating sudden irritability, anxiety, or sadness. This doesn't mean you're moody, it means your brain needs steadier fuel. When blood sugar stabilizes, mood stability often follows naturally. How to tell if it's hormonal or emotional, daily clues that matter. It's not always easy to separate emotions from hormones because hormones influence emotions. But the body leaves patterns and clues that can help you tell the difference between a situational mood swing and a hormone-driven shift. Learning to recognize these patterns removes self-blame and replaces confusion with clarity. Timing is the first clue. Hormonal mood shifts often follow a predictable rhythm. You may notice emotional changes at the same time each month, the same time of day, or during specific phases of your cycle. Irritability before your period, emotional sensitivity around ovulation, or anxiety in the evening are strong hormonal signals. Emotional mood swings, on the other hand, are usually tied directly to events, conversations, conflicts, disappointments, and don't follow a repeated physical timeline. Physical symptoms travel with hormonal moods. Hormonal shifts rarely show up alone. Mood changes are often paired with physical signs like fatigue, bloating, headaches, sleep disruption, cravings, or body tension. These combinations suggest a body-wide hormonal influence, not just an emotional reaction. Emotional responses without a hormonal component usually don't come with consistent physical symptoms. Speed and intensity matter. Hormonal mood swings often feel sudden and intense, then fade just as quickly. You may feel overwhelmed or irritable without fully understanding why, and later feel confused by how strong the reaction was. Emotional moods usually build gradually and make sense in context. Hormonal shifts often feel disproportionate to the situation. Fuel and rest change the outcome. If your mood improves significantly after eating, resting, or sleeping, hormones are likely involved. Blood sugar, cortisol, progesterone, and estrogen all respond quickly to nourishment and recovery. Emotional moods may ease with time or conversation, but they're less likely to resolve quickly with food or rest alone. Stress sensitivity is a major signal. When hormones are involved, stress tolerance drops. Small tasks feel overwhelming, patience disappears quickly, and emotional recovery takes longer. This points to cortisol interacting with other hormones. Emotional stress without hormonal involvement usually still allows you to regulate and recover once the situation passes. Consistency versus context. Hormonal mood changes repeat in similar patterns. Emotional moods vary based on life circumstances. If the same emotional state shows up repeatedly even when life is relatively calm, hormones deserve attention. Hormonal mood swings follow patterns, carry physical clues, and respond to rest, nourishment, and rhythm. Emotional moods are tied to life events and resolve through processing and support. Learning the difference isn't about labeling feelings, it's about understanding your body's signals so you can respond with care instead of self-criticism. Conclusion. If your emotions sometimes feel unpredictable or harder to manage, it doesn't mean you're moody or emotionally unstable. For many women after 30, these shifts are hormonal, not a personality flaw. Hormones like estrogen, progesterone, cortisol, insulin, and thyroid hormones play a powerful role in how your brain regulates mood, and when they fluctuate, emotions can feel stronger and faster. The empowering truth is that awareness changes everything. When you recognize hormonal patterns and support your body with rest, nourishment, stress reduction, and consistency, emotional balance becomes easier and more natural. You're not failing emotionally, your body is communicating. Educational only, not medical advice. Like, subscribe, and share. Thank you for watching.